Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? This is BC. Welcome back to another episode of Supreme Being. I'm your host. Appreciate all the support. Would love if you guys can hit me with that 5-star review on iTunes and all those things to bump up the ratings and the amount of reactions that we have. I think we have 200 and something ratings. I'd love to get it up to 1,000 since we have so many listeners. Appreciate you guys. As always, go to my website. I just released a absolutely free yet exclusive to my email list sales and communication crash course, which is going to be a multi-part series. If you're interested in stuff like that I release, that's exclusive to the email list, go to my website, briancasellacoaching.com, right? You can find all the links that I'm describing here in the description of YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. Get on that list. Those of you looking for additional support from me and my team, schedule your strategy call. You have nothing to lose, and we're here to help. Get on our Discord. And also, those of you in the real estate space who are interested in eXp Realty, check out the Icon Ninjas opportunity that we have for you. All right, let's begin. Shout out to Dr. Bobby from the Recover Lab here in Miami. I was there today. I go once a week, twice a week. And, me and him always have really good talks. But what I wanted to talk about today is, as we were having a conversation, we were recognizing with each other that we were, in regards to our current business endeavors, like if we're going to line this up, saying his business and then my real estate business, we recognize that through the conversation, we're at two different stages of our business. He just started that business, and I was having a very long discussion with him on what I've done to get to where I'm at here at this point in time, how long I've been doing it, what I was doing, and what my schedule was like back when I was like in his shoes in the beginning, like 10 years ago. And, we had a really good conversation back and forth. We talked about other things too, but that was the main point of discussion, and, recognizing what stage you're in, because he's working really long hours right now. I think like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And he was asking me, were you doing the same thing? And, just going back and forth. And I basically said, yeah, I was doing that much, if not more. And it kind of solidified in his mind that he's on the right path. But it got me thinking as well. And I said, man, how many people are looking for a way around that, right? How many people don't recognize that, hey, this is the rite of passage that I need to take? And that was one thing I wanted to highlight today in regards to this podcast, is recognize the stage that you're in, because very quickly it becomes easy for you to find the answers and implement it. Like I've done one, I think I did a podcast recently a couple of weeks ago on the process, right? And making sure that you're following the right process. But this is directly attached to that, right? Because you have to recognize what stage you're in. If you're in the beginning stages, you really need to take a look at what you guys are doing or what you're considering. Like, the big thing now, and this is why people prey on you, the individual, right? Because this applies to most people. Very few people are at a very high intermediate to advanced level where, you could say they're in my position, making, top 5% or 3% in income worldwide, like making over, 7 figures in income, and where our businesses are at. Like that's such a small category, right? The majority of people need to recognize what stage they're in. So what happens is, again, if you're just like watching YouTube, listening to podcasts, you're getting perspective from us. Like in my instance, I'm speaking to you from having been 10 years in the game. You're not going to start off at the stage that I'm at, right? So these people, like I said earlier, that create these ads, they want to fool you in the world into thinking, oh no, you can just automatically scale to a 7-figure business and it's all good. It's like, dude, no. You have to pay your dues, and you have to recognize what stage you're in. I don't care who helps you. There's no skipping stages. If you're new, you're going to have to work your ass off at whatever you do, and you're going to have to sacrifice a lot. I don't care who you are or who's teaching you. Unless you come in and I'm like, here's $1 million to start, right? And you're still going to have to learn a lot. And although it might be quicker if I give you $1 million, it's still not going to be the same, right? Recognize what stage you're in, ladies and gentlemen. If you're in the beginning stages, like anywhere from beginning to intermediate, you're going to have to put in long hours. You're going to have to build a very solid foundation. You're going to have to work your ass off. There is no get rich quick magic bullet. This is going to make it easy for me. Like, as an example, somebody will get into the sales business and immediately, but before they even get into sales or master it, they want to hire somebody to prospect for them or make calls for them or go door to door for them. Are you kidding me, dude? That's just laziness and skipping the work. How are you going to teach somebody and put somebody in place to do something that you've never done and you know nothing about and you're not good at? That's the epitome of being a hypocrite. Again, if we're the salesperson, I could understand if you're hiring an assistant to help you with administrative tasks because you're not good at that and you're going to hire them and pay them. That's different, right? That's scaling my business based on where I put my time into the highest income producing activities. But if we want to cut corners now, because people will kind of use that as a guise, right? But you have to be able to clearly recognize the difference between I'm scaling properly to, okay, now I'm just lazy and I'm cutting corners. There's a clear difference there. You have to draw a clear line in the sand, and you know if you're doing it. Don't let some bullshit advertisement fucking, fool you. Come on, y'all. You got to be kidding me. Now, have I gotten to that point? Yes. But I will never ask somebody to do something that I've never done myself or mastered, right? The administrative stuff that I gave to the person that I hired, all those tasks, I hate doing them, and I had to do them at one point. Having all my agents come in and work their way up and prospect, they're not prospecting for me. They're prospecting, building their own businesses. I just get a small piece of what everybody makes because they're under my tutelage and I'm teaching them and they're a part of my team. And I'm talking about my actual nationwide team, not my organization at EXP. Those are two separate things. Apparently, I have to make that clear to people. When I say my team, it's not my organization at EXP and the people that joined under me. That's my actual nationwide real estate team. Clear difference there, please. Right? Two separate things there. So are you that person that wants to come in? Oh, I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to hire people, because you have to really think about it. How are you going to hire somebody if you're not making money? So even people will try to do what I just said and they don't have any money. It's like, bro, you don't have any money and you're already still trying to cut corners and hire somebody to make calls for you because you're lazy and you don't want to do them. How about this? How about you make the calls? You start getting some consistent income. You build your skills. You understand what works and what doesn't. You refine your systems and you master the process from A to Z. Then you hire somebody. You train them to do that, right? The calling portion of it, to sift through and get the leads and set the appointment. You give them the systems, you teach them, right? Then you hire more and more and more, and you're the killer that just goes on the appointment or makes that call to close them, right? But see, you earned your rite of passage there. You recognize that you were in the beginning stage. You built a foundation. You learned it. You codified it. You systemized it. Then you hired somebody. Not only did you have the money, you're now in a position, you have the experience and you have the wisdom and you have the know-how and you have the systems now to hand down to the next person, which is what I'm doing here on my product side, right? I'm scaling that whole business. I have people discussing the different packages that I sell from 1,000 all the way up to 10,000. And we're going to keep releasing more, right? And I have people selling those now to individuals. It's not me personally selling anymore or only relying on organic traffic to go to my website. I have people selling them now. That's a completely separate business now that I created over the last couple months. But you best believe I sold my own stuff. I've made it, and I understand sales inside and out. How else could I hire somebody to do something and teach them supposedly if I've never done it myself? You see? So you have to recognize what stage you're at, right? Stop drooling over what I've done. Again, I'm 10 years into this thing. If you're brand new, it's cool to look at what I've done and aspire, just like I did when I started. But you have to understand that when you look down from looking at your phone, you're where you're at, right? This is why it's imperative that you have the right teacher too to tell you you're at this stage. I love going through that process with my students and on all our lectures and Distinguished Agent and Limitless and all this stuff. Is, man, I get to be there and break bread with these people and guide them. It's fantastic. If you don't have that yet, you need to get it immediately. But if you don't, okay. At least if you're going to like only listen to my podcast and go to my YouTube, go to the beginner stuff to get it from me speaking from that perspective. Either now a current video talking about the basics, or 8-9 years ago on YouTube when I was talking about that stuff, either having just done it or being in the middle of it. So again, you're getting the information from that stage. There's no skipping stages and there's no shortcuts. Let me make that clear to you again. Even though every fucking ad and every person tells you there's a shortcut, there isn't. I've been saying the same shit for 9 or 10 years now, guys. 9 or 10 years. There's no shortcuts. And how do I know too? Because in every area of my life, and I've looked for the shortcut, I haven't found it. And all it did was give me heartache and pain. And in some cases, it cost me money. You don't want that. Listen to what I'm saying. Don't let the allure of the trap. And the crazy part is, motherfuckers will pay a premium for the shortcut that they know deep down inside is probably bullshit. And then I show up. Hey, invest in this. No, it's too expensive. Fuck you, dude. Get out of here. You fell for the bullshit and you paid a premium for it. God, that's how, and again, that's happened to me too in the past. It's almost inexcusable that we do that. Why? Because we want to skip the stage or take the easy route. And it just doesn't exist, y'all. It doesn't exist. Even my closest students and team members, before we even start or before I let them commit, I'm like, dude, are you ready? It's going to be hard. You're going to have to work your ass off, even with me helping you. It's not going to be rainbows and sunshine, dude. Recognize that you're at stage 1, right? You're digging for gold, and this is the first time you're grabbing your pickaxe and you're hitting the ground, and you have no idea. You haven't struck gold yet. This isn't your 50th dig. This is your first dig. Are you ready? You have some tough times ahead, maybe several weeks and months and years without anything until you strike gold. Are you prepared for that journey? And we need a resounding yes, because I don't want somebody who's going to come in and think that they're going to strike gold within a month, because after a week or two of not getting anything, they're going to give up. Recognize what stage you're at and stop looking for the shortcut, y'all. Commit and see the longevity of what you're doing. I knew that when I started doing my prospecting and building sales skills and lead generation, that eventually not only would I be a rock star good at it, later on I would be able to put somebody in my place and train them and either have them work alongside me or hire an employee to take over that task. And then I'd be able to scale and make more money. But I knew this was the rite of passage, and I knew this was the right way to do it. And then I knew I could potentially teach people later like I am now, right? I wasn't thinking of doing it, but I knew that was a potential in the future to be a teacher. We know this, because a lot of people who are great at something end up falling into a teacher or a coach at some capacity, because it's still like being around it. We like being around the energy of it. We might not do it anymore or be a professional athlete or whatever it is anymore, but we like being around the sport or that activity or the skill, witnessing people get better, teaching them, seeing the same mistakes, right? Like we like the energy and we like the flow of it. So we'll stick around and help people. And yeah, the money's cool, but that's not the only reason that we do it. That's not. Because right now, all my free stuff, technically, I don't even have to do it anymore. I've already built a following, right? I already have businesses. They're feeding themselves. I mean, I really don't have to be making 2 or 3 podcasts a week and all that stuff, but I love this shit. I like getting behind the mic and getting on here and screaming for 20 minutes, right? Like, I like this shit. When I don't, I'll stop. But the YouTube, the shorts, the reels, and all that shit, even though some of it I think is goofy, I still enjoy the creation of the content, man. Even though I know I'm, they're choking me with the censorship, but it's okay, dude. It's okay. The podcast seems to be relatively untouched. That's why it's doing very, very well. If you guys don't know, if you want me to give you an update, I mean, there's weeks where I have, in 1 week, I'll have, 15, 20,000 downloads of the podcast. I mean, it's just really exploding. On a slow week, it'll be 10,000 now. That's on a slow week. Do the math. It's like 1,500, 1,300 a day on a slow week, something like that. Doing well. Appreciate your support, right? So what I'm getting at here is enjoy that stage and master that stage, because you cannot unlock the next one until you fully fulfilled and mastered the previous stage. And most of you listening to this are in stage 1 or 2, right? If there's 10 stages, we're going to artificially set a number. The vast majority of people are between 1, 2, and 3, probably. The vast majority being at 1 and 2, right? This is why all the new basic stuff content always gets the most views and shares, and the motivational stuff and all that. And the advanced stuff, we save that for our close students. Why would we give that out? No one's going to listen anyway. Or somebody who's a beginner is going to listen to it and already be getting way ahead of themselves, and it's not going to even be useful for them, right? In fact, it might actually be detrimental to them, because now they get more stuck in analysis paralysis and all this other stuff instead of just doing what they're supposed to do and chugging along and figuring it out, right? So if you're listening to this and you're not sure right now, recognize what stage you're in and be brutally honest with oneself. You have to. And say, okay, what do I need to concern myself with, right? If you're in the beginning stages of a business, it's lead generation, right? Setting up meetings or the opportunity to sell, and then closing those sales, whether you're selling a product or service or whatever it is. That's it, right? The lead generation, which has marketing in it, right? Then I guess the sales process, right? Are you dealing direct to customer? Are you doing email marketing or whatever it is? And that needs to be the bulk, 80, 90% of what you focus on and build and develop. That's it. Not dancing on TikTok, not any of this other garbage, right? Like creating on YouTube and all that and social media has to be secondary to those things that I just said. Those are real world activities that are in those beginning stages have to be mastered. Then eventually, right, you start ascending some tiers and stages and you're going to hire people and put them in those positions, right? But that comes later. Master the basics and fundamentals of your business first. In the beginning, right, I was a CEO all the way down to the janitor and the security and the night clerk and the front desk guy, right? Now I have people and employees and agents in those positions. It's not me anymore, right? I oversee a lot of people now. Between my team and employees, I'm up to, I think, 35 or 40 people. I have a pretty large organization now, relatively speaking. Maybe, to the world, that's a small to medium-sized organization, right? But compared to somebody who's day one and the type of money that we're generating, it's pretty big, right? Pretty big. So, but when I was in stage 1, 2, 3, I recognized it and I did what I was supposed to do and I stuck to the activities of that stage. Then as I started unlocking higher stages, I was seeking more and additional guidance and mastering these things and learning what I had to learn. And a lot of it you learn on the job. There's not always going to be the answer on YouTube or your coach. You're going to have to live it, right? Because like as an example, right? Real life example. Agents will ask me about negotiations. I'm like, dude, you have to get into your first negotiation. You can't figure it out until you do it. Even if you have somebody like me or somebody coaching you and helping you, you still have to get into it and learn from the experience. There isn't all the answers before you do it. A lot of things you need to learn by doing it and being in the moment and then figuring it out and not having all the answers. A good chunk of stuff is that way. And that's a part of your stage and learning it, right? You have to go through that. So there's a lot of things that even with top-notch coaching, guidance, and help and hand-holding, you still got to go through it and learn it, right? And that's available and going to happen at every stage, every single stage. But what happens is the first stage or 2 or 3, you get used to doing it. Now it's not a surprise anymore. Now you have to go into the belly of the beast without all the answers, and that's okay. That's okay. Embrace that. That's the fun part. Why? Because it's a question mark. And it's the adventure part of entrepreneurship and these growths that you go through in this evolution of business and of self, because you don't have all the answers. That's the cool part. It's scary, yeah, but it's also exciting at the same time. And you need to be able to see it from both perspectives of what you perceive to be negative, which is normally how we only look at it, but then also the positive, right? You can grow from this. You're going to learn. You're going to have to go through it and maybe and probably make a mistake or mistakes, and that's okay. That's how you learn. Right? That's what I love about these stages is the things that you do wrong teach you more. If everything goes smooth from day one, you're not going to be very capable and prepared for when disaster strikes or a problem happens. And you want to be prepared. That's why I love when I bring a new agent on or a new student or a new team member and the first couple of sales that they have are rocky. I love it. I'm like, man, you're going to hate it now, but later on, you're going to feel like a rock star because you learned so much, right? You've had so many possible things go wrong early on that it prepared you so hard for what's coming, in the future. And now when subsequent things happen, they won't sting as much. They won't throw you off. And you'll feel so much more prepared because you went through a few extra speed bumps in the beginning. Pretty cool and a beautiful process, if you ask me. All right. So in summation, understand what stage you're in. Stay focused on you and what you're doing in that stage and that process. And that's it, man. Please, for your own sake, for your sanity, for your development. And that's it. Get help when you need it, right? Like I said, you guys can always click the link below and get on the strategy call. You can get on my email list too. We're always sending out stuff to help you and give you some guidance on a lot of stuff. But you really got to figure this thing out. Most importantly, by doing it, focusing on it, recognizing what stage you're in, and just plugging away. It's a process, right? Doing anything takes time. Anything. Okay? So we'll wrap up here. As always, schedule your call, get on our email list, join our Discord. Those of you who are in the real estate world, check out our Icon Ninjas opportunity at eXp Realty. Other than that, appreciate the support. Give us a review and a rating here on whatever platform you listen on. If you're listening on YouTube, appreciate you. Hit that subscribe button and share this one as well with anybody you might know. If you guys do share this on social or listen to it, go ahead and tag me. I know you can tag me now again. They've re-allowed you to do it, right? Reactivated the ability to tag me because I love sharing it. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next episode. All right. Peace.